I'm going to show you how to multiply and divide integers now. There's a very simple rule for multiplying and dividing integers. It's simply this. If you multiply or divide integers with the same sign, you'll have a positive product or quotient. If you multiply or divide integers with different signs, you'll have a negative product or a negative quotient. So to summarize, if you multiply a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative, you will get a positive answer. If you multiply a positive times a negative or a negative times a positive, you'll have a negative answer. And the rules are the same for division. Let's take these examples. Negative 12 times negative 7 would give us positive 84 because both of these factors are negative. If both factors are negative or both factors are positive, you'll have a positive product. 15 times negative 8 would give me negative 120. You multiply or divide as usual, and then you follow that simple rule that I told you. Try these two. Pause the video and try 4 times negative 5, and then try negative 12 times negative 14, and we'll go over them when you finish. Pause the video and unpause when you're finished. Okay, let's see how you did. So 4 times 5 is 20. Oops. And if you have a positive times a negative, that will give you a negative. Did you get negative 20? So 12 times 14, when you work it out, is 168. And a negative times a negative will give you a positive. So our answer is positive 168. So answer this question for me. A negative times a negative gives you a negative. Is that true or false? I hope you said that that is false. A negative times a negative would give you a positive. And this is a common mistake that kids make when multiplying. Remember, if the signs are the same, whether they are both positive or both negative, when you multiply or divide, the answer will be positive. But if the signs are different, one's negative, one's positive, the answer will be negative when multiplying. These are very different from the rules of adding and subtracting. So you have to kind of get them all straight in your mind. Make sure you write these down as we're learning and practicing. In this example, we're given variables, and not only are we given variables, but we are given 3 different factors. We have x times y times z. Remember, the parentheses or variables and numbers sticking next to each other just means multiply. So it tells us that x is negative 2. Let's substitute the values. Y up there is negative 5, and z is negative 9. Well, first, multiply as usual. Multiply the 3 numbers. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 9 is 90. So we know our answer is definitely not going to be C through F. We know our answer is either 90 or negative 90. So none of these could be the answer. Now we have to think about the sign. Just do one step at a time. So a negative times a negative is a positive, and then a positive times a negative will give us a negative. So our final answer here is a negative. You might notice that when you have 3 products and they're all negative, you're going to end up with a negative. I'm sorry, I meant to say 3 factors, not products. If you have 3 factors and they're all negative, you're going to end up with a negative product when multiplying. If you can't remember those little rules, just go one at a time. Multiply 2 factors at a time, then multiply by the 3rd factor and the 4th, and so on. The rule applies no matter how many factors, no matter how many numbers you're multiplying, just go 2 at a time, 2 factors at a time to figure out whether the answer is going to be positive or negative. One more concept you need to understand is what to do when you have variables. So we would call this a term, 3j, and it's being multiplied by another term, negative 4k, in the parentheses here. Write this down. Make sure you're writing these in your notes. So all you're going to do is you're going to multiply the numbers in front of the variables. Those are called coefficients. You can multiply the 3 and the negative 4 because, remember the commutative property? It says that we can multiply in any order and still get the same answer. So really, I could rewrite this as 3 times negative 4 and then worry about the j and the k. So I can multiply the 3 times negative 4 because no matter what order I multiply, I'm going to get the same product. Remember, that's what the commutative property says. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. So this can be written as negative 12. And then the j and the k, we aren't told what they are. We are simply, what we're doing here is simplifying the expression. We're not evaluating, we're not answering, and we don't know what j and k are. So we will leave our answer as negative 12jk. It doesn't matter what order you put the variables in. You could have negative 12kj, and that would be the same thing. Algebraically, though, we do put the number in front of the variables when we write out a product, our answer as a product. Okay, so take a look at this one. Write it down. We've got 5a times negative b times 3c. One thing you should know is that whenever you have a negative in front of a variable and there's no number, it's like there's only one of those. So it's like there's an invisible negative 1 here. So this really is saying 5a times negative 1b times 3c. And all that means is it means that I can do 5 times negative 1 times 3. Notice I just took out all the coefficients, all the numbers in front of the letters, and then I can worry about the letters, the variables, the a, the b, and the c. I'm just using the commutative property. I'm pulling out the numbers. I'm going to multiply those since I know what they are. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. And since I don't know what a, b, and c are, I'm just simplifying this expression here, and I'm going to add those in my answer after the number. So the number, also known as a coefficient, goes in front of the letters, the variable. So my final answer, as far as I can go right now, is negative 15 a, b, c. Write down these examples. As you see, we're going to practice this tomorrow. So make sure you bring all your notes and these examples to help you complete your classwork and homework tomorrow. See you then.